Come one, come all. Welcome to Let's Talk About Anything and Everything. Today, I will be telling you a fictional story. It could be a story about everyday life, mythical creatures, medieval worlds, who knows. Your goal at the end of the podcast is to determine the ending to this story. I will bring it up to a specific point that will give the power to you as a listener, and you must decide the fate of the characters in this story. Hey Grace, you almost ready to paddle out? Says Ivy. Yeah, I'm coming. Just let me text Liam back real quick. Ivy nods and heads toward the water, surfboard in hand. Ivy is Grace's best friend. They were roommates in the dorms their first year of college, and now they are inseparable. Well, sort of. Grace just started dating Liam, and things have been going so well that she hasn't had as much time for Ivy, which is why she always tries to cherish Fridays with her best friend. A strong breeze blows across the sand as Grace slides her phone in her bag. She looks up at the sky, which was sunny but is starting to turn dark, as if a storm is coming. Nevertheless, her and Ivy always go surfing on Fridays after class, so she straps on her leash and paddles out. The girls sit on their boards in between set waves and talk about their weeks and how classes are going. So, there's this guy in my chemistry class who is always glancing over at me during class, and he's so cute. Do you think we could set up a double date with you and Liam? Says Ivy. Yeah, I'd love that, says Grace. Grace settles down on her board as she sees the set waves approaching. Hey, you ready? She says as she glances over at Ivy. Ivy nods. They always have a competition on who can catch the most waves in a set. Ivy paddles in on a decent-sized wave and pushes herself up to her feet and flashes Grace a smirk as she shreds through the wave. Grace is always up for a competition, so she looks behind her and sees a big wave coming. But she can do it, and she'll have to if she wants to beat Ivy. So she paddles onto the wave, and before she can drop in, she sees a lightning bolt strike farther down the beach, which causes her to lose her balance and tumble into the wave. Her board gets pulled towards the shore, which tugs Grace underwater. She starts swimming toward the surface in a panic when she realizes that her leash is caught in the reef. She tugs at it, but she can't free herself. She can barely see anything because the waves are crashing over her head and sand is being knocked up all around her. She's trying to hold her breath and free herself, but the leash won't budge. She starts fading out of consciousness. She isn't getting enough air, and she doesn't have the strength to tug at the leash anymore. Grace slowly opens her eyes and sits up abruptly as she coughs up the water she inhaled. At first, she is so disoriented, she doesn't know what happened to her. Then she feels a hand on her shoulder and turns around. It's Ivy. Grace, are you okay? Says Ivy. What happened? How did I... says Grace. Ivy says, Shh, it's gonna be okay. You got caught under a wave, and once I realized what was happening, I swam over and dragged you onto shore. Grace, I didn't know if you were gonna wake up. Come on, let's get you back to your apartment. I think you need some rest. Ivy takes Grace back to her apartment and tells her that they can talk more about the incident later if she feels like she needs the clarity. I just don't want you to overwhelm yourself thinking about it tonight. What you need now is rest, says Ivy. Grace says, Yeah, I know you're right. I just feel weird. Like, my head. I don't know. Something's not right. Try to get rest, and I will be back first thing in the morning to check on you, says Ivy. After Ivy leaves, Grace crawls into bed and pulls the covers over her head. After a few seconds, she starts breathing heavily. She's trapped. She can't breathe. She thinks to herself, oh my gosh, not again. No, no. She rips the covers from over her head and pushes them down toward her waist. It's just the covers, Grace. You're fine. Everything is fine. After laying there for a while, she drifts into a deep sleep. Almost too deep. She opens her eyes and she's underwater. It's not the ocean, though. She looks around and then she looks up, and she's so deep she can't see the surface. She starts to panic, swimming as fast as she can upwards, hoping to see the surface so she can breathe. She keeps swimming, faster and faster, until she looks around as she swims to the edge of the bank and pulls herself up using a rock that's wedged in the teal-colored grass. What is all this? Says Grace as she wrings the water out of her top and pajama pants. She continues to look around the pool of water, and she sees rocks lining the outside of the pool, and all around the water are trees as tall as the sky. Then she sees a small opening in the bushes beneath the trees, and she walks over to it. She leans down to peek and see what's on the other side. Oh, hi, what are you? She says as she stumbles backwards away from the opening. She walks forward and steps through the opening in front of her, and standing staring at her is what seems to be a gnome. But he's real. He's walking and breathing, but it's not just any gnome. He looks exactly like the gnome that her grandma keeps on her front porch. Grace used to play with the gnome as a child. Grace says, You're a gnome. You're not real. Who are you? The gnome looks up at Grace and extends a hand to her. The name's Leo, and yes, I am a gnome, and yes, I am very real. I'm here to guide you. Grace extends her hand out and shakes Leo's. Grace says, Leo, would you mind telling me where I am? I don't know how I got here, and you're here to guide me? Guide me where? Leo says, Well, Grace, this is a dream. It's your dream. You wouldn't be here if you didn't want to be. Grace says, Excuse me? Well, then how do I get out of it? How do I control it? It's easy, child. You have to believe, and with that belief, you can control where this dream goes, says Leo. Grace stands before Leo confused. She reaches up and feels her head. Could she be sick? This can't be real. She knocks her head. Grace, wake up! Wake up! She opens her eyes, and nothing happened. She just sees Leo batting his eyelashes at her. Leo says, Remember, child, you can't leave if you don't believe. Fine, I believe. Now how do I leave, Leo? Says Grace. She steps around Leo, contemplating how this is happening. And when she turns around, he's gone. Great. Now I'm stuck in a dream, can't wake up, and alone. Thanks, Leo, says Grace. She walks forward, exploring the world she woke up in. There isn't much, just trees and a path through the grass. Grace thinks to herself, well, if this is a dream, and I am in some other world, best to stay on the path. So she starts walking and walking for what seems like hours, until she gets fed up and screams, I just wish I had something to show me the way. Before her, a horse appears with a saddle and stands waiting for her to get on. Oh my gosh, Grace says. Okay, so this is real. She climbs onto the horse, which gallops further down the path, leading the way. Eventually, the horse comes to a halt, right in front of a huge castle, and surrounding the castle is a village. Grace jumps off the horse, staring in awe of the castle. It's huge. She had never seen anything like it. Suddenly, she hears loud footsteps receding behind her, and she swirls around ready to face a new challenge. And instead, she sees the horse galloping off into the distance. Grace steps forward towards the castle and surrounding it, she sees a very small village. As she approaches the front gates, she sees a young boy emerge from them. And she can't believe it. It's her brother. Is it really him? How can he be here? I don't understand. You're here, says Grace. Tommy, is that you? Yeah, Grace, it's me, says Tommy. Grace runs to him and kneels down to pull him into a tight embrace. She starts to cry and holds her brother in her arms. Tommy, how did you get here? Says Grace. Grace, when I disappeared last year, I was at Aaron's house when I fell down the stairs. And after his mom took me to the emergency room, I had to stay the night at the hospital, and when I went to bed that night, I woke up here. And at first, I tried to find a way home. But I found this village and these people, and since I can control their stream, I've been helping them. How did you get here? Says Tommy. Grace says, I came here in a dream, Tommy. Same as you. Well, you're here now, and Grace, the people in this village, wherever we are, they need your help. They need our help. I can't leave them. I won't, says Tommy. Grace tells Tommy that they can't stay here. It's a dream, and it's not real. But to Tommy, it's very real. It has been the last year of his life, and now he has his sister with him. I'll let you, the listener, decide the fate of these characters. Will Tommy and Grace stay to save the village, or will they return to their lives outside of the dream? Thank you for tuning in today, and may you let your imagination run free as you contemplate the fate of the characters in today's story. If you would like to share your versions of the perfect ending to the story with me, then you can post it on Twitter and tag the podcast Twitter account at Let's Talk About Anything and Everything with the hashtag alternate ending. Until next time.